So this is my 2012 Veloster. It's naturally aspirated. It's got high miles on it. And I've drove the shit out of this. My daughter has drove the shit out of this. And yeah, so now I'm gonna breathe some new life into it. I am going to rear-wheel drive swap it. And I don't know what else I'm gonna do to it, but I know I'm gonna remove all the interior because the interior is disgusting. My daughter made sure that she ruined it. I love you, sweetie, but you absolutely destroyed this interior. So I'm gonna remove door panels, seats, all the interior panels from the back, the deck lid, door panels from the other two doors. I mean, these rear seats are gross. So my ultimate goal is to get everything removed from the car except for the dashboard and the center console, because I need to keep it where I can drive it. And I probably won't remove the driver's seat except for when I'm removing the carpet. And I'll probably have to take center console out to get the carpet out. I'm not sure yet. But my ultimate goal is to get the carpet out of here, get all these interior panels out, because I want to look at putting a roll cage in here. And I also, me being a dumbass that I am, left the rear window down when it absolutely stormed like no other. And the entire interior in this car is soaking wet, and it stinks horribly in this car right now. I wish there was some way to broadcast the smell so that you could experience how bad this is, because it, oh my God, it is horrible. But anyway, I'm gonna remove all the interior on here, and I'm gonna show you guys how to remove basically everything out of the inside of this car. I'm gonna remove all the interior panels, rear seats, all these rear panels, everything. Spare tire well. I actually have a spare tire in here. Most cars don't. FYI, if you need a spare tire, one out of a Mazda 5 or a Mazda 6 will work perfect in the spare tire well, and the bolt pattern's exactly the same for the car. And it's got the right offset and all that shit. We had a Mazda 5 minivan, or the micro minivan, whatever the hell you want to call it, and it had the spare tire, and I used it on this car when I found out that these cars don't come with a spare tire, and it was a perfect fit. So now I carry it with the car because we got rid of the Mazda and I kept the spare tire. So but yeah, it's a naturally aspirated 1.6 liter. It's got over 230,000 miles on it, or right around 230,000. I can't remember. I don't drive this car anymore. I actually drove it until it hit 200,000 miles. And then I gave it, or well, yeah, I sold it to my son-in-law. And then her and her husband drove it. My daughter and her husband drove this car until he left for the military. And they put about, I don't know, 30,000 miles on it, somewhere around there. And they gave it back to me as payment for some money that they owed me. So this car has been wrecked either 2 or 3 times by me. Honestly, I can't remember. It was wrecked pretty bad up in Tennessee. And then I hit somebody else on the interstate, and it hasn't been fixed from that wreck right here. And the headlight fills with water. But I don't think that's from the wreck. I think it's from a bad seal up here. I've seen these things leak on a whole bunch of these cars. The reason that one doesn't leak is because it was replaced, like, when the accident happened, it smashed the entire friggin' front end of this car. So this is all brand new over here. I got it fixed through my insurance and everything. So I mean, it was and I had it inspected after it was fixed. So everything's good to go on it. It doesn't have a salvage title or anything, but yeah, it's been hit twice, and it was pretty bad the first time. I thought they were going to total it, but they didn't. So knowing that this thing has multiple accidents in its history, it's got super high miles for what I consider high miles. I'm going to go ahead and just change it into what I want it to be, because it's completely paid for, and I don't really think it's worth a whole lot of money. I'm sure I could sell it for maybe a couple $1,000s, but it's not worth it. I'd rather use it as a project to have some fun. So it's not hurting me. I already own the car outright. And it still runs and drives. So I'm going to keep it mobile for the time being until I actually purchase the Genesis frame, because what I plan on doing is buying a Hyundai Genesis 2010 to 2014 with a 3.8 liter and a 6-speed manual. I'm going to try and get the R spec, but I'm not going to hold my breath for an R spec, because I don't know if I'm going to pay the premium for a wrecked R spec. because I'm going to buy one off of Copart more than likely, or another auction site. But Copart is where I got my Audi for the engine for my Audi that I drive daily. So I think I'm going to go back to Copart and get a Hyundai. I found a couple on there, but they've been pretty pricey, and it seems like the prices are only going up. So I may not have a choice. I may have to just bite the bullet and buy one. But that's my ultimate goal, is to transplant the drivetrain from a 3.8 liter 6-speed manual R-Spec Genesis into the Veloster and go from there. But I also want to do a full roll cage in it, but I also want to keep full interior in it. Now, I don't know if I'm going to try and retrofit the Genesis interior into this body, but I might try and do it because I like the seats in the Genesis. But the dashboard and everything's going to stay the same. I will probably try and do the updated instrument cluster to the newer style R-Spec if I can. And yeah, we'll go from there. All right, first things first, I'm going to remove the top of the rear seat. There's a little tab to pull up. Take this bolt out right here. Take that bolt out right there. So I'm pretty sure it's pretty obvious on how to remove this rear package tray cover, but you just disconnect it up here, disconnect it over here, and mine's broken, so I had to wrap it on the little stud that's left up there. Then once those are disconnected, let them fall back down, and then you just pop it up. It comes right out. And there's your seat. Comes right out. Now take the bolt out of the other side and it'll do the same thing. Just pull it off the pin that's down there in the bottom. And make sure that you unhook your seat belt off the little clip on the top of the seat. Okay, now that the tops of the back seats are out, I'm going to take out the bottoms of the back seats. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove this bolt right here. So you'll see that you have your child safety extra tie downs right here and right here. And then the seat mount is right there and right there. So we'll pull those two bolts and then pull up on the front. Just pull up really hard right here in the center of this seat. And right here in the center of this seat, there's a clip there and a clip over there. And then the whole seat will come out. All right, now the back seat's out. So if you need to replace your fuel pump is going to be located right underneath this. I haven't ever accessed it through here. I'm sure there's a way to open it up. I haven't really looked, but that's where your fuel pump is. Just pull your back seat and you'll be able to service it. This is also where the clip is located. So it's right in the dead center of the seat, right in the dead center of the seat. And then, like I said, take that bolt out, and the other bolt is over there. All right, guys, so I've got the rear trunk pan removed. All it does is just pull up. These slide through the carpet, and then it comes out. But this panel right here, if you just grab at the bottom and pull up real hard, and down here and pull up real hard, it'll pop loose. But I wanted to bring it to everybody's attention. If anybody has had their rear hatch rattling or squeaking or anything like that, I got tired of replacing and adjusting this crap, so I just wrapped it with electrical tape on both of the bump stops, and I haven't had any squeaks out of this thing ever since. And I did that when the car had about 120, maybe 130,000 miles, and the car has now had 100,000 miles with this electrical tape on it, and it does not squeak anymore. So just wanted to bring that to everybody's attention. So to remove this, just grab here, pull up, grab here, pull up. And and then it just slides right off. You've got 4 pins that are clipped in, and you've got slides on it that hook in right here, 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 and here. So now we've exposed the screws that we want to take out to remove this panel in the rear door, and then this screw right here that is holding this panel in. But we've also got to remove these upper sail panels, and then we'll be able to remove the rear panel. So I'm going to remove this screw, remove this panel. I'm going to go over there and remove the same screws, and I'm going to work on removing that panel over there. So that entire panel, all that right there, I'm going to take it off in one piece. Okay, once you take that screw out, this panel just pulls straight up. You've got a clip there and a clip there. You can see where they're clipped in, right there and right there. So just pull up. Like always in all my videos, put your hardware back where you took it out from. I'm going to remove this rear trim that goes across in between the trunk and the back seat. It's 2 Phillips head screws. And then I assume there's probably some clips under there, but I'll verify after I get it off. Okay, so there is a clip on each end holding it to the interior panel. I found that if you just grab the back of it and roll it, it'll pop out. Same with that side. Grab the back of it and roll it and it'll pop out. Now to finish removing this interior panel, you need to pop this little cover right here off. Just stick your finger in the opening and pull this way and it'll come off. Then you need to remove this screw, and this screw. So you got one on that one there, that one down there, and I'm actually going to remove the seatbelt buckle so that it's out of my way. All right, now that all that's loose, we should be able to grab the panel and pop it loose. And there should be some clips over here. You gotta pop it loose. Yeah. There we go. Seatbelt should slide through the top. Then you may have an electrical connector or something hooked up, which is what we have, the interior light. So disconnect that light, and then your whole panel can come out. Now, in order to remove this driver's side panel, because this is a 3-door car, it's only got a single door on the driver's side, 2 doors on the passenger side. It's actually what made me really like this car. I liked how weird it was. And it's like a little go-kart driving through traffic. But you got to pop this panel off here before you can pop the next panel off. So this one just pulls straight up. You got 4 clips, one there, one there, one there, and one there. All right, now that that's off, this has the same hardware locations as the other panel. So you got a screw here, seat belt hooks in right there, and then you've got the 2 cargo net hooks and the bolt on the top back there. So now that all that's separated, I should be able to pop the panel off and pull it out. Now this panel is actually 2 separate panels, and I'm actually trying to take it out as one solid piece. So if you just want to remove this panel, you should be able to without removing the rearmost panel, so that you can get to the speaker right here. But don't be afraid to pull on it, because it does have to be freaking separated. But you need to pull the door seal. I just noticed that. You need to pull the door seal because it is holding it behind the door seal. If you forget to, you can crush it back together though. It's not going to hurt anything. You can fix it. I just bent mine back and it's fine. So it does hook behind the door weather stripping in 3 spots. So you need to pull that door weather stripping from the driver's side door out before you pull the panel. All right, now that that panel's out, I should be able to pull the next panel out because I've already got all the hardware removed from it. So that one's out, and then this one. This one just pops out after you got all the hardware out of it as well. So there's the entire rear section. Now, if you want to remove these panels, there's additional 10mm bolts. They're in 3 places. Pull those and then it's clips. Same on this side, 3 bolts, 10mm, and then clips holding the rest of it in. But that'll get you access to everything in the rear of the car. Now I'm going to show you how to remove the interior panels from the back of the trunk window. So the very bottom piece of the hatch cover is just held in with these clips. As you can see, I've actually broke a couple of them. I've had this thing off a couple times because of this stupid freaking latch mechanism. The freaking button, it's broken on me like fucking 5 times. But after you get that panel off, you just pull really hard and it'll pop off. So I still have one clip that's good that I can reuse in one of these other holes. And then this clip is broken. But then you've got a screw here, and then this panel should pull down. This panel, I believe, pulls down. I'm not 100% certain, so I'm going to take these screws out first, and then I'm going to try and pull the entire panel down. This is the only panel I've ever had to take off for service, so most people will not need to remove this, unless you're trying to get to the spoiler, which that's what I'm going to try and show how to do. So the center panel that covers up where the spoiler bolts are is a pop-in panel. So if all you're trying to do is replace the spoiler, you don't need to take any panels off except for this center one. Just grab it and pull, and then you can get to every one of the bolts for the spoiler. So pretty easy to service if you ask me. Okay, so the rear trim panel that goes around the entire perimeter of the back window is 2 pieces. So the trim starts here and wraps all the way up to here. You've got a screw there and a screw there. Some of the clips come this way, some of the clips go this way, some of the clips come this way. So it's kind of a pain in the butt. But now all I have left is this one little piece of trim. All of these clips, with the exception of this one, should pop out that way. So I'm going to pop this one out, and then I'm going to pull the whole panel this way. Okay, now by removing all of those panels, you have access to your rear antenna. You also have access to your rear defrost and your rear defrost. So I want to correct something I just said. The rear trim around the back window is not 2 pieces. It is 3 pieces. Where I thought it was connected in that lower left corner, my trim was just stuck together. When I went to put it downstairs in storage, I saw that it broke apart right there. So it is 3 separate pieces. It is not 2. I guess now is as good a time as any is to show if you need to fix your rear hatch button. You remove that lower cover, disconnect this electrical connector right here, and then there's 2 10mm nuts, one right there and one right there, and then the entire assembly will pull out. This entire silver ring, or whatever color yours is on your car, this entire piece will pull out, and then you can service the handle. So in order to remove the rear interior door panel, there's a little cover over the screw. Just stick you a screwdriver in on that where that little slot is and pry up. And now the cap does not come out all the way out. It gives you just enough room to flip it up and get a screwdriver in there. Okay guys, so the first thing you need to do to remove the rear panel is pull this panel off. It's just held in with 2 clips. There's the 2 clips. Then you've got a screw located here, and then you got to pop this cover out, which is this cover right here. I just stuck a screwdriver in right here and pried out, and it popped out. Then you got a screw back there behind it. Then there's a spot in the bottom of the door for you to put a pry tool in here. Now I used a plastic one because I didn't want to scratch my panel up, but then you pry it out to pop the clips loose, and then you can grab it and pull it. Once you get all the clips to pop, then you can just pick up on the door panel and it comes right off. Now, these wires for the handle will still be hooked up, and so are the wires for your window switch. So these are just held in with this clip. Push that clip, and then they roll out and pop out. And then this has just a single clip right there to push in and pull down. So then that entire interior door panel is off now. So now I'm going to move on to removing the front seats. Now I must preface this with saying that the front seats have airbags built into the sides of them. So you really do absolutely must disconnect the battery before you start messing with these front seats. You don't want them things discharging while you're messing with them. So disconnect the battery, wait 10 minutes, and then you can work. All right, this panel right here just pulls up 3 clips, 1, 2, 3. Now we should be able to remove this panel. It should just be a series of clips around it and then pull it. And just like on the other panel from the driver's side, you have to pull the door trim off so that you don't bend the door trim. There is an airbag located up here. There's also an airbag located up here. So I'm not going to get into up there yet. I will eventually. When I go to do the roll cage, I'll pull all the interior out of here. But right now I'm just pulling out everything except for the headliner. Okay, so the seat bolts are actually what's known as an inverted Torx. And I have a set of those, but a 10mm 6-point socket will take them off as well. That's what I just used. 6-point, 10mm, if I can get it to rotate around. 10mm, 6-point, and it works fine. I have a set of the inverted Torx, but I didn't feel like walking downstairs and grabbing them. Now, once you remove all 4 bolts from the seat, typically it'll fall back like mine did. And then you can get to the wiring that you need to disconnect. So this is the wiring that has to be disconnected. You've got an airbag sensor, and then actually you have 2 airbag sensors. Maybe 3, I don't know. Because this car does not have heated seats. So this is probably a pressure switch, and then the airbag sensor itself. I'm not 100% certain. One of them turns the airbag on, one of them is a pressure switch, and then I guess the other one is an inertia switch. So, but make sure your battery is disconnected and has been disconnected for at least 10 minutes before you disconnect these connectors. Okay, each one of these connectors has its own safety lock on it. This one, you have to pull this little black piece back before you can squeeze in the connector. This one, you have to slide it back and it releases the connector. And then this one is just a standard push. I guess I should also mention that these clips come out, you squeeze that side, and then this clip comes out by squeezing there and there. I don't ever cut them, I pop them out, but they're clipped in up here, and right here. You can reach it from the top side, if I can get the camera to focus. So you can reach it from the top side, because there's where one clips in, and then the other one clips in right there. You can reach both of them pretty easy. All right, now that both of the seats are out, now I'm going to show how to remove the center console. All right, guys, so to remove the center console, you have a screw here, screw here. You have 2 more on the other side of the back of the armrest. All right, then you pop your shifter control up. Now, I don't know how the shifter comes off on automatic because I don't have an automatic, but on the manual, you just pull up on this until it pops loose. And you got a screw right here that you're going to have to take out, and then I believe this entire center panel is going to come up, but we'll find out here in just a minute. Okay, so after you remove that one screw, well, you didn't even have to remove that screw, I guess. That screw is actually still there. So once you remove your trim panel and the trim around your e-brake, you can grab the center of this and pull up really freaking hard, and then there's clips up here in the front that hook in. So you just pull up and then pull back. All right, so in order to remove the rear half of the center console, you do not need to take those side bolts out of either side. What you wind up doing, I found out the hard way, but better to be safe than sorry. I took the whole thing apart. But if you pull the little cover out of the bottom of your armrest, there's 2 10mm bolts holding it in. They bolt in right here. You take those 2 10mm bolts out, take this Phillips head bolt out and this Phillips head bolt out. Pick up maybe about 1/4 of an inch and then slide back, and then the whole thing will come off. All right, so the rest of the center console comes out when you pull these 2 little clips out of the front. So there's a clip up here next to the gas pedal, and there's one over there in the back end, and you can see it right there and right there. Once you disconnect those and you take this screw out and this screw out, unhook it from this little hook right here and here, and then pull forward, and the whole thing slides out. Now, my shifter had to be back in either 2, 4, or 6 so that I had enough room for it to clear. But now the entire center console is removed from the car. If you want to replace your shifter, that's how you're going to have to get to that. Then you would have to remove this bracket right here. I could have left this bracket on the center console, but I chose to remove it. I'm probably actually going to bolt it back onto the center console, because I think I'm gonna actually switch this out to a newer style shifter, because I want the one where it has the ring on it so I can change the knob out. But yeah, that's how you would get to that. There's your airbag control unit. And yeah. So now I should be able to pull the carpet out. I think I have to take the gas pedal out. But after that, remove that kick panel and this kick panel, and I should be able to take the carpet out, which is my ultimate goal. All right, now the carpet is completely removed. Car is basically gutted except for the dashboard and the door panels. I'm not going to go over removing the driver and passenger side door panel, because when I removed the rear door panel, I wound up putting it back on because the windows don't work without the buttons hooked up. So I'm going to leave all 3 door panels on, and I'm going to leave the dash intact. But that's how to remove everything else in the interior except for the headliner, which I'll cover at a later date, and the dashboard, which I'll cover at a later date. So now that all the interior is removed, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to clean this up. I'm going to put soap and water on it, scrub it with a scrub brush. Then I'm going to vacuum it with my wet dry vac, my shop vac. And probably do that 2 or 3 times, get this carpet trying to make it look like brand new again. And then once I get it cleaned, I'll probably put it back in the car, but I'm more than likely not going to put the rest of the interior back in the car, simply because I'm going to transform this thing into a rear-wheel drive V6. So all this shit's going to have to come right back out. But I want to keep the car mobile so that I can move it around and whatnot while I'm still waiting to acquire the Genesis to cut the floor out of this thing. I changed my mind. I'm going to show you how to take these door panels off. So you got to pop that top cover off, 2 clips. You've got a screw in here, like on the rear panel. And then you've got a screw behind here, like in the rear panel. So you pop that out. You can see where I've picked it before, but you pop that out. Take that screw out, take that screw out, and then pop the door panel off, and then disconnect your door handle and disconnect your wiring, and it comes right off. All right, guys, so that's going to wrap up how to remove all the interior out of the Veloster. Like I said, I'll do a video regarding how to remove the headliner and the dashboard at a later date. Excuse me. The reason that I didn't mess with the Lexus is because Terry is actually working on some other things, and it's his car, so I'm trying to let him do a lot of the work. He's actually out playing golf today, so figured I'd work on the Veloster since I've been looking at acquiring a Genesis for probably about 3 weeks now. I don't know when I'm going to acquire it, but it will be soon. So once I acquire the Genesis, then I'll start stripping the Genesis down, and I won't worry about having to keep that mobile. But I am trying to keep the Veloster mobile until I get to the point where I'm ready to start cutting the floor and fitting the new drivetrain into it. So, like always, if this video helped you out in any way, if you liked what you saw, please like, comment, share, subscribe, let your friends see what I'm doing, and I'll see you in the next video.